From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
Well, it was the strongest hurricane to hit the Gulf Coast in more than a century. Hurricane Laura now moves inland, leaving behind a wide path of devastation, and it could soon impact our weather here in central Indiana. For more on this storm's path right now, I want to toss things over to Todd Clausen, standing by from home with radar behind him. Todd, what's the latest?
Yeah, Laura is now a Category 1 storm across the area as it moves through northern Louisiana. But already some of the clouds that you see out your door at this noon hour are part of a Laura that is down to the south. And eventually it's going to start to make a right-hand turn here fairly shortly. So it won't directly impact us with a lot of wind and rain, but it kind of indirectly impacts us with some showers as we get into the course of the coming days. There's a few showers not associated with Laura streaming through right now, as well as increased clouds. You can see a few scattered showers here up near Frankfort, as well as Lebanon, and as you work your way towards Greencastle and then south towards Columbus, a few spotty showers. And this will be the trend throughout the afternoon hours for a spotty shower, maybe a rumble of thunder, but everything is going to be pretty light and scattered in nature, so definitely don't cancel any outdoor plans if you do have them. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s, a little cooler than it has been due to the additional cloud cover that is out there. So this afternoon, we'll see temperatures get up into the mid-80s here, still above normal with that spot shower or storm chance, but nothing significant. The better rain chances from both Laura and a cold front heading our way arrive tomorrow. More on that coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes. Lauren?
Well, and Todd, it came roaring ashore overnight. We know Hurricane Laura remained dangerous well after it made landfall. ABC's Marla Carter is in Orange, Texas, with more on the destruction caused by that storm.
Laura tearing into the Gulf Coast overnight, making landfall as a powerful Category 4 hurricane in Cameron, Louisiana, about 35 miles west of the Texas border, bringing with it maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour, making Laura the most powerful windstorm to make landfall in Louisiana in 164 years.
This is the ridge, the eye wall. You can see how visibility is going to zero now.
The storm hit in the middle of the night, but as the sun came up, images of the devastating damage emerged. Streets flooded, power lines toppled, trucks tossed like toys. The damage extended further west across the state line into Texas. Over 500,000 people in Texas and Louisiana forced to evacuate as Laura strengthened in the Gulf.
We had, I know, well over 5,000, maybe as many as 10,000 people who evacuated, and especially for those in the Port Arthur and Orange and Beaumont areas, it could have been a lifesaver.
Officials had warned the potential 20-foot storm surge would be unsurvivable.
I think we're in a fortunate place when we think about surge. I think it was less than we had forecasted, but we're going to see significant wind damage to buildings.
Ashley Thomas and her family rode out the storm at home.
Family in our home underneath the kitchen table, and after being under the kitchen table for about 5 minutes, we lost our roof.
Louisiana's lieutenant governor spoke with some of those residents who chose not to leave.
I spoke to a family around 50 miles from the coast, and they said they will never ride out a storm again.
Laura has now become deadly. A tree fell on the house of a 14-year-old girl in Louisiana, taking her life. The storm has now been downgraded to a Category 1 hurricane. In Orange, Texas, Marla Carter, ABC News. Back to you.
And Indiana Task Force 1 is already along the Gulf Coast, prepared to help those who are impacted by this hurricane. The team of 25 is in Louisiana. They'll be primarily conducting swift water rescues. The task force trains around 20,000 hours a year so they can deploy in times of need just like this. Jay Settergren is a safety officer who served more than 2 decades with the team, and he says a lot goes through his mind during a deployment like this, but there's an additional hurdle with this one.
One of the big things, particular with this deployment, is we're basically deploying in the middle of a pandemic. We've never done that before, so FEMA has a COVID response protocol, and we've all been trained on that, and we are going to respond with that in mind. And me being the safety officer on this team, my first priority is to our rescue members to make sure that they're safe and that they go home at the end of this.
The task force expects to remain in the Gulf Coast for the next 2 weeks. New this midday, the Indianapolis Colts are the latest pro sports team to stop activity in reaction to the police shooting death of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Today, the Colts sent out this tweet. It says, instead of practicing, the team will use the day to discuss and work towards making a lasting social impact and inspiring change in our communities, end quote. The Colts' move came after NBA players threw the rest of the league's postseason into doubt, walking off the court in a call for justice for Jacob Blake. The NBA's Board of Governors is meeting right now to talk about what to do next. The meeting comes after LeBron James and other players said they preferred to cancel the rest of the season. The movement started when the Milwaukee Bucks refused to take the floor for their playoff game last night. Bucks guard and Indianapolis native George Hill says it's something that they had to do.
When we take the court and represent Milwaukee and Wisconsin, we are expected to play at a high level, give maximum effort, and hold each other accountable. We are demanding the same from lawmakers and law enforcement.
The WNBA, Major League Baseball, and Major League Soccer also postponed games in solidarity. The sports walkouts happened the same day that a 17-year-old white teenager was charged with killing two of the protesters Tuesday night in Kenosha. The prosecutors say that Kyle Rittenhouse had driven to the protest from his home in Antioch, Illinois, that's about 15 miles away, armed with this assault-style rifle. Reports show on his social media that he idolized police, guns, and the president. He's now in jail awaiting extradition to Wisconsin. The new COVID-19 numbers are just in from the State Department of Health. They show another spike in new cases. 1,164 new positive tests are being reported today, along with 6 new deaths. The 7-day positive test rate average held steady at 6.6%. Also new this midday, new claims for unemployment were at a historic high for the 23rd consecutive week. The Department of Labor says 10,778 Hoosiers filed for unemployment for the first time last week. That number was down slightly from the previous week, but still well above the levels seen before the pandemic. Nationally, unemployment claims also fell slightly, but they were still above the 1 million mark once again. As the new number of new COVID-19 cases in Indiana still remains high, Governor Eric Holcomb says the state will stay in stage 4.5 of its reopening plan for another month. So that means the current capacity limits at restaurants, bars, and public events, those will remain the same. The extension will last through at least September 25th. Holcomb also announced the state's face covering mandate will stay in place for another 30 days. Parents of students in the Hamilton Southeastern School District say they plan to continue to put pressure on the schools to reopen for in-person learning. During last night's school board meeting, the parents criticized the district for only offering remote learning at most of its schools, while one parent said they supported the move as a responsible thing to do during a pandemic.
My kids desperately want to be back in the buildings, and they want things back to normal. Because my children are in grades 5 through 12 at this time, they will not be returning to the school buildings after Labor Day. I wanted to speak tonight on behalf of the multitude of district parents that say, that's okay.
Well, the school board did not make any changes to virtual learning plan at that meeting. A spa closes its doors and some customers are left in a lurch. Coming up, how WRTV Investigates is working to get a resolution to their frozen gift cards. Todd.
And Hurricane Laura continues to make its way northward, now almost into Arkansas. That's where the center of the storm is, but some of the clouds, as you can see on our satellite picture, extending all the way into southern Indiana already. First the clouds, and then come an increase in rain chances. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. You're watching the news at noon right here on WRTV.
A downtown spa that closed up shop says it's working on making things right for customers that still have those unused gift cards. Their response comes after customers reached out to WRTV Investigates. An attorney for Studio 2000's Salon and Day Spa responded to WRTV's own Kara Kenny. Harley Means says that the company is working on a plan that deals with creditors, including gift card holders. Means says that their top priority is helping their 20 employees find new jobs and that some of the workers may honor gift cards at their new places of employment. Studio 2000 customers told WRTV Investigates because they have hundreds of dollars in unused gift cards. The company's attorney told us, quote, Studio 2000 will keep all creditors and gift card holders informed as to its progress on a resolution. Again, let me emphasize that Studio 2000 is working diligently to resolve these issues, end quote. Well, there will be plenty of places to vote in November, but will there be enough poll workers to staff them? Next, how Marion County might need your help to make sure that people can exercise their right to vote this fall. And let's take a live look outside right now, overlooking the Circle City. A view to the west, you can see the White River there, and JW Marriott off in the distance. We'll get Todd's full forecast, looking ahead to the weekend. That's all coming up here on the News at Noon. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tonight is the final night of the Republican National Convention. This evening, President Trump will give his formal acceptance speech of his nomination for re-election. We'll have live coverage of the convention starting at 10 o'clock tonight right here on WRTV. And be sure to stay tuned for the news at 11 right after our convention coverage. So we told you yesterday that Marion County plans to have 188 polling locations open for this November's election. But questions still remain as to whether they're going to have enough poll workers. The county's election commission is still looking for additional volunteers just in case, and so are other counties across our state. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker talked to a woman who's worked at the polling site since 2006 about why this is such an important job.
Your number one job is to help people get to exercise one of the greatest rights that we have in a democracy.
Erin Kelly is talking about being a poll worker.
To actually be a part of a process that makes America work, it's a really rewarding process.
In our conversation over Zoom, Erin told me she's been working elections for almost 15 years, but decided to sit out Indiana's 2020 primary because of COVID-19.
I have a couple of elderly parents that I help take care of, and at that point in our knowledge about the coronavirus, I didn't feel comfortable eventually putting them at risk.
Hoping to address concerns over COVID-19, Secretary Lawson during the state's weekly coronavirus update said voting centers will be prepared with PPE for everyone, poll workers and voters alike. With that in mind, Erin shares what poll volunteers should expect in November.
I think one of the things that will remain the same regardless of the virus is that people will have questions on Election Day.
Whether it's checking your ID, finding your name in the poll book, or figuring out the equipment, poll workers are there to help.
That's one of the great joys that I always took away from being a poll worker is that you're there to help everyone vote.
Because of these trying circumstances, there will inevitably be some problems if you go to vote in person. Erin asked that you be patient.
The poll workers, those are your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, people you go to church with. You know, these aren't professional election staff. They're everyday people. So grant them a little grace as well as they're trying to navigate this election, particularly during a pandemic.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Well, if you'd like to be a poll worker, you can find a link to this story on our website, WRTV.com. So this is why we tell people to stay safe during storms. Watch this closely. This is a morning news crew. This power flash right behind meteorologist Justin Horn of KSAT-TV. He was reporting there from Gulf Coast of Texas. Well, that happened shortly after Hurricane Laura made landfall overnight. So glad he and his crew are okay there. Really dangerous out there for anyone who was in that storm's path. Todd, that ended up being a huge storm that made landfall overnight.
Yeah, it was almost a Category 5 storm that made landfall last night, and just shows you all the dangers that you have in that storm. You have obviously the sustained winds, you have the storm surge, you have lightning, Lauren, you get tornadoes in the outer bands. So there's a lot of things that make hurricanes dangerous outside of just the sustained winds that you hear about all the time. Still a Category 1 storm now as it continues to lift off to the north. It's going to start moving pretty quickly now as it gets into some of the mid-latitudes here, and it's eventually going to curve off towards the east, almost making a right-hand turn. Once it gets to northern Arkansas, you can see the center of the storm is going to pass through Kentucky, and we're just going to be on the northern fringe of the storm. So don't expect a lot of wind with this hurricane, or it will just be an area of low pressure by tomorrow passing to our south. But it will be close enough to put us in the clouds and also the rain. However, you see here the areas in purple and red and orange. That's where the heaviest of the rain is, and it just clips extreme southern Indiana. Here in central Indiana, we'll get some showers coming through with this storm, but there's also a cold front that's coming through, and that's going to manufacture some thunderstorms tomorrow as well. So it's kind of a combination of the remnants of Laura and a cold front that'll increase our rain chances in the coming days. Outside right now, skies are partly to mostly cloudy. Thinner clouds to the north, and that's where the temperatures are a little bit warmer. 82, 81 in Indy, 79 is the current temperature in Martinsville. We should get up to about 86 today with those mostly cloudy skies, and some spotty showers and storms will be a possibility. And you could see some of these on our satellite radar picture already. Still some sunshine up in Peru, but go just south of Peru, and we have a few scattered showers moving through, some light showers near Seymour as well. And as we go over to TrueCast, I'm going to take you through today and also tomorrow, so you can kind of get a picture of what you can expect. This afternoon is just an isolated shower, maybe a quick downpour as we get closer to sunset, but nothing severe. I think you can carry on with any outdoor plans. You could see a raindrop, but you're not going to get rained out or anything's not going to get washed out. As we get into Friday, some spotty showers possible throughout the morning hours, mostly cloudy skies, and then better storm chances come in Friday night, as you see, especially in southern locations with the passage of Laura to our south, and then the cold front's going to push through as we get into early on Saturday morning. So tomorrow's mostly cloudy, still warm, 87 degrees. The rain is mainly early Saturday morning. Humidity drops with sunshine by Saturday afternoon. Sunday looks absolutely terrific with a high temperature of 79 degrees, low humidity. Sunday morning we start in the 50s, and then next week a little unsettled again with numerous opportunities for some scattered storms, but it remains cooler with temperatures right around 80s compared to the 90-degree temperatures that we saw the past 3 days. Obviously, with the clouds in place, Lauren, and the showers moving through here currently, we will not get to 90 today. And tomorrow, potentially the wettest day as we deal with that 1-2 punch of the cold front and the remnants of Laura moving through.
All right, Todd, thanks for that update. Well, this year has brought disruption to much of our lives, and now could impact what you drink, at least if you like beer. That story's coming up next. You're watching the news at noon right here on WRTV. Stay with us. Well, the year 2020 has brought a lot of changes to our lives, and if you're a beer fan, one thing you may notice is the can that you're holding. A pair of Colorado breweries whose beer you can find here in Indiana have had to get creative with their packaging. Scripps reporter Jason Grunauer explains why.
Sometimes you have to roll with the punches, and I think that we're all learning that this year.
The pandemic has forced this to become the main way people get their beer.
All these breweries shifting to package format has left manufacturers just trying to keep up with demand.
Not an aluminum shortage, but a can shortage affecting the entire country, leaving breweries like Oscar Blues and Longmont to come up with a plan B.
So basically, we're repurposing old brands with the new packaging.
Wrapping their old unused cans.
You can kind of see there's a little bit of old graphics bleeding through a little bit, and that's just part of these cans looking a little wonkier than what they normally would.
With different labels on plastic sleeves.
Pull this sleeve off, and you can see here's a brand that we're not rolling with right now.
We're putting labels over printed cans that we have more inventory of. We're putting labels over cans that we aren't using at the moment.
Ska Brewing out of Durango is having to do the same thing, since they're only receiving a third of their usual order of cans from their manufacturer.
This is that Hop Ivy can that I mentioned that we're currently not selling, and we were wrapping it with our Mexican lager label. And you can kind of see at the top the label ends, and you can see the old can.
Business is still booming in beer. Now it's just in creatively packaged can form.
It looks different, and it looks like something went wrong, but the label on the can is the beer inside that can, and that has not changed at all.
That's something even 2020 can't get to.
All right, back here at home, we got to get a check of our forecast. Todd, what's it looking like?
A spotty shower or storm possible here this afternoon, but it shouldn't cancel any plans. Better storm chances in the forecast tomorrow. The weekend looking great. I know you see the rain there on Saturday. It's just some spotty showers early in the day. Plenty of sunshine Saturday afternoon. We take that into Sunday as well, Lauren, with lower humidity all across the area.
All right, Todd, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us and making WRTV your choice for news. Come back here tonight and join us for the news at 5. Have a great Thursday afternoon.